Oh, how the chips have fallen. It is week 15. Most people, first round of fantasy playoffs. This is a very, very important week. And as far as the games go, there are a ton of teams fighting for playoff position. This is going to be a very, very important week all the way around. Speaking of fantasy playoffs, I am still on the outside looking in one league. I made it in one league. But the torch is being carried by none other, by the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Awthentik himself. Sir, welcome to the party.
I'm here, man. I'm hanging by a thread right now, okay? My opponent had Gardner Minshew go completely off in that game yesterday. And I'm on Ross St. Brown in the second half. He completely ramped it up, man. I thought I was in good shape there. It looked like Amon Ra was headed for maybe like 7 or 8 points, man. And then he absolutely went crazy, put up like 20 on me. So I'm down like 50-10 right now. At least Zach Moss got a touchdown before he exited the game yesterday, so that definitely going to help me out a little bit. But I need a couple of players to really show up and show out today. Tough matchup. I'm going with Justin Fields and DJ Moore stacked going up against that Cleveland Browns defense. Man, it's going to be tough, but you know what? I'm not out of it yet. We'll see how things go, man. And I got a little bit of a payout, so I was telling my girl this. I'm on the positive side of the net gain, the net income gain.
There's not a lot of people that play fantasy football that can say that. So, you know, this is the first year in probably over a decade where I am going to come out in the red when it comes to fantasy football. So
that's not a good look. I think you're playing in too many leagues, bro.
No, it's not that many. I think it was only 4 or 5, maybe.
You know how many leagues I'm in?
Uno.
But
this is going to be a fun show. We got a lot of people already in the chat. Big shout out to everybody who is watching us across all the platforms. That is Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and of course right here on YouTube. Don't forget to fill the comment section with all your fantasy questions, your NFL bet questions. We will get to each and every question as we progress through the show. We're going to give you all of our top plays for this week in fantasy, and we're also going to pick every single game against the spread and the overs and the unders. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Big shout out to everybody who watched the clip of the preview for the New York Giants and Saints. If you guys haven't watched that and you want something to watch right before the game starts, go ahead and watch that right when we finish up here on the parlay. But yeah, keep those questions coming. We're going to get to those. But before we even get to the first line of questions, we're going to go ahead and start with the toughest segment, not just this week, but throughout most of the year.
Yeah,
maybe not for Awthentik as much as me, but it has been a tough go for me when it comes to who to sit. So we're going to go ahead and give you guys our sits for Week 15 fantasy football. Shout out. Listen, StreamYard is making some adjustments here. We can now stream to Instagram, which is interesting.
Oh, and that's kind of tight. I might have to actually hop back on IG.
It's been a while. And also, we are finally getting Twitter comments in our comments section here on StreamYard.
Oh, that's dope. And I did see a lot of people tuned into our last episode for the preview show on Twitter. That was super surprising, man. That thing had like over 500 views. I was like, I didn't know that many people's over there watching.
Yeah, so shout out to everybody in the chat. Awthentik, who is riding the bench Week 15 for Coach Thennick?
This was definitely a little bit tougher this week because, you know, you got to rule out a lot of these players that have been absolutely out the mix already. You know, I'm not going to give y'all some players that, you know, absolutely sitting on your bench all damn season, the Darnell Mooneys and the such, you know. So this week, speaking of the Chicago Bears, I am going to be putting their running backs on my bench, including Deontay Foreman. He has had a pretty decent season. He's the lead back over there right now. But the Browns defense, man, they're extremely legit. They're allowing 3.4 yards per play at home right now. In Week 6, the Browns held Christian McCaffrey to a season-low 11.2 fantasy points. He had 43 yards on the ground and just 9 yards through the air. He did get in the end zone. So you're going to be very touchdown dependent if you're going to be banking on the Chicago Bears running backs. I'm also benching another pair of running backs for the Houston Texans here, going up against the Titans, who have a really good rush defense. They're sitting right in the middle of the league right now. No C.J. Stroud today, so I think the expectation will be they're going to try to rely on both these running backs. Devin Singletary, Dameon Pierce, definitely sitting on my bench right now. Titans have the 14th ranked rushing defense in the entire league. They're allowing just 110 yards per game right now. And then another one, man, that Chicago Bears game, you know, I'm very, very, very tuned into that game because I got my stat going up against them Browns today. Jerome Ford against the Bears. Jerome Ford has not breached 100 yards since week 10. The Bears are the second best rushing defense in the entire National Football League right now, allowing only 83.7 rushing yards per game. And it has not looked like that when you watch these games to me. I have seen some big plays, some explosive plays allowed by that defense, but I'm sitting Jerome Ford on the bench today. So a lot of running backs on Coach Awthentic's bench today.
Listen, I'm going to go with the running back too. You talked about running rush defenses. I think James Conner – listen, James Conner is a good running back. He's had some injury issues this year. Obviously, that team has been, there's been some games where they've been in it and he's performed well, but going against the San Francisco 49ers is just a tough matchup for me with James Conner. I mean, San Francisco 49ers, they allow the fewest rush yards per game in the National Football League, and they have allowed the third fewest touchdowns in the National Football League this year. So that is rushing touchdowns. So I'm benching James Conner this week. Speaking of the Cardinals, who, I think that game might be not so bad, but they just have some pieces in there that just I'm scared of. And one of those is Marquise Brown. We talked about Marquise Brown a little bit off air before we went live. He has one game in his last 5 games with 7 or more fantasy points. So it for me, it's just tough. He's also coming in this game with an injury designation. He is questionable but likely to play. So it'll be interesting to see how he can perform. It just, for me, I'm staying away from him. If I'm playing anybody on the Arizona Cardinals, it's Trey McBride at the tight end position. He's just been an absolute stud since taking over full-time and the Cardinals releasing Zach Ertz. The last one may not sit, pun intended, well with a large portion of our fan base. I'm going to be sitting all New York Giants wide receivers.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
It's not too bad. I mean, listen, I know that there's a lot of Giants fans who might not want to hear this because I need you Giants to win the game, okay? I need you Giants to win the game. But listen to this number right here. New Orleans, last 5 weeks, have allowed the second fewest PPR fantasy points to wide receivers in the entire NFL. Not only that, they have allowed the fewest receiving yards to wide receivers in the last 5 weeks as well. So for me, pairing that in with, the miracle story of Tommy DeVito, I'm staying away from all New York Giants wide receivers in week 15. So
when we get to our sleeper section, I'll
you're going to counter
that for all my New York Giants fans. I will.
Little counter. Okay, I like that. Let's get to some questions really quick before we get to our sleepers. You already know who the first question is going to be from, Mr. Juan Pena Jr. All right, he says, who for my wide receiver 1, running back 1, and running back 2? Okay, so we need 1 wide receiver and 2 running backs. He's got Rice from Kansas City, Lockett, Dobbs, Cooper, Connor, Ford, Gibson, or A.J. Dillon. So a couple of guys we just talked about sitting. Wide receiver 1, it's tough for me. I think I might go Lockett over Rice. It's between those two for me. I mean, I kind of like Dobbs too. All 3 of those matchups, I think Rice probably has the toughest matchup. Philadelphia's pass defense, Tampa Bay's pass defense, 2 of the worst in the league. So you're looking at Lockett and Dobbs going up against there. Cooper's a little banged up. Running back, I love Antonio Gibson today. No Brian Robinson. A.J. Dillon is banged up. You're forcing our hand here, I think, with Connor or Ford. If I had to choose between Connor or Ford, I'd probably go with Ford and Gibson for my running backs 1 and 2. Wide receiver 1, I'm going to go Lockett.
I'm looking for DK Metcalf to have a bigger game this week than Tyler Lockett will. I like Rice's matchup. I mean, the New England Patriots, that's who the Chiefs are going up against, right?
Yeah.
That defense has been better, but they're always on the damn field. That offense is so bad that I think it's going to present a lot of opportunities for Patrick Mahomes. And they need a get-right type of game offensively. If it's not going to be Rashee Rice, it's going to be Travis Kelce. I think I'll roll the dice here and I'll go Rashee Rice at wide receiver 1. I'm definitely staying away from Romeo Dobbs. The Bears' pass defense is not fantastic, so I think Amari Cooper could be an option. I don't like Lockett. I don't like Dobbs. Not to say they won't have good games. Running back 1 and 2, A.J. Dillon was running tough last week. That dude was looking like Brandon Jacobs out there, man. He broke a couple of plays in the passing game and in the rushing game. Is he out? Is he out today?
I'm
Because
gonna
I know
wait
what you
and
call is dealing with injury as well.
Yeah, both of them were dealing with injuries. So I'll wait and see if we see something come across the feed on Dylan. We'll make sure to highlight that and let you guys know. But I know
Yeah,
he's
so I
coming
would
in
go.
banged up.
I would probably go. Gibson is tough, but I'd probably go James Conner. But the one thing you got to watch out for is that if they start getting blown out in that game, late in that game, Conner's not going to get many touches. But I think the most consistent is going to be James Conner. It's tough. You got a lot of running backs in the same kind of category. I think I'm going James Conner, A.J. Dillon if A.J. Dillon is healthy. If A.J. Dillon is not healthy, I think I go Jerome Ford. I don't see the Commanders being in that game today against the Rams.
Yeah, I will concur with you on that aspect. Juan Pena Jr., Sam Laporta, the second coming of George Kittle, or do I say Gronk? I will let you know, Sam Laporta is the real deal. I think he just broke the record for most receiving touchdowns for a tight end and rookie tight end in Detroit Lions history. So he's definitely up there as one of those guys.
I wouldn't compare him to either one of those guys, though.
Yeah,
those are physical. Just saying because Juan says George Kittle or Gronk, those guys are physical. I think that Sam Laporta is a well-balanced guy. He could go up and get those catches almost like a wide receiver. I mean, you saw it yesterday. That dude was going crazy. I think he's the first coming of Sam Laporta. He reminds me more of a guy like T.J. Hockenson than he does either of these guys.
Great comparison there. Hasbick says, start David Njoku or Darren Waller. I'm going to go Njoku just because I think Flacco and Njoku have something brewing together. And as much as I love Darren Waller, and you probably spent I wouldn't say you spent a high draft pick on him, but, you've been waiting for him to come back. So it's like the urge is there to play him if he does end up playing, which I think he probably will. I'm still going to go with Njoku.
Yeah, I go Njoku too. I'm not a fan of like just throwing players into the lineup after they're coming back off a big injury. Darren Waller coming back off IR here. He's got a quarterback he's never played with. I do hope that they build some chemistry, though. That would be real nice to see Tommy DeVito with another weapon out there. And they said Darren Waller is going to be on a pitch count. So, yeah, I'm going David Njoku.
Big shout out to OG Unit checking in from Twitter. Jalen Hurts or Brock Purdy? Hurts did pop up on the injury list. He has been downgraded to questionable, I believe, due to a illness. But it is a Monday night game, so I think he'll be okay. That's tough for me because I love Jalen Hurts, and I love playing Jalen Hurts because of the rushing touchdowns. Brock Purdy's been on fire lately. Probably maybe a better matchup against Arizona than the Eagles against the Seahawks. I'm going to go Purdy. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Purdy.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Purdy as well. I do want to see, because they already matched up once this year, and I just want to see the box score on it. And see how Purdy played in that game. I can't remember how he played in that game. I mean, they beat the Cardinals 35-16 in that game. Brock Purdy was 20 of 21 for 283. That's absolutely ridiculous, and one touchdown. So the thing you got to worry about in that game is it getting out of hand, and the 49ers getting up on the scoreboard a little bit too much and just relying on that running game a little bit more, and Brock Purdy not getting those opportunities. I do think that Jalen Hurts is going to be in an offensive type of matchup with the Seattle Seahawks, similar to how they were with the Dallas Cowboys. I think that was 41-35 that game was. So you might get more output out of Jalen Hurts. I think I would roll the dice. It's playoffs, and it's tough, man. We are not financial advisors, y'all. But I think I roll the dice and go with Jalen Hurts. You have the capability of the rushing, getting in the end zone with his legs. Jalen Hurts does lead the NFL with, most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback right now. I think I roll the dice and go Jalen Hurts for a bounce-back game against that Seattle Seahawks defense that has been struggling in the running game since they got Leonard Williams over there, which is kind of surprising.
Up next, Hasbick says, start David Njoku or Darren Waller. We're both already going with Njoku there. And he says he's already off to a good start. Mike the Realist, pick 3. Zeke, Breece Hall, Tony Pollard, Saquon Barkley. That's a tough.
No,
it's easy
tough
for you.
Yeah, Zeke's the odd man out here.
Okay.
Yeah, for
all
me.
Right. If you're going,
Breece.
fantasy, yes, I'll agree. We'll go Breece Hall, Pollard, Saquon Barkley. If you're going DFS, though, DraftKings, keep an eye on Zeke Elliott. He had 91% of the snaps with Ramondre Stevenson out. That sort of volume is kind of crazy, but that offense is not.
Think about
really
the matchup. Think about the matchup.
Kansas City Chiefs, their rush defense has been fallen off over the last few weeks. they're allowing a lot more yards per game than they were previously. I think it's the last 4 weeks, they've kind of really fallen off because at one point they had one of the top 3 rush defenses in the National Football League, but it's been bad the last 4 weeks.
But when I say matchup, I mean, what are the odds that like the Patriots actually lead in this game ever, where they can control the clock, run the ball? I don't think this is one of those games where Zeke Elliott is going to see a lot of volume because they're probably going to be down on the scoreboard.
Looking at game script, I'd be interested to see how many receptions he had last week. He
can catch the ball out of the backfield. I'll give you that. But of these guys, I'm staying away from him. I mean, Tony Pollard has a great option because if they get the lead in that game, he's going to be able to run the ball and run the clock out. If they're in a tight game, he's going to be able to be involved in the pass attack. Same thing goes for Saquon Barkley. Breece Hall, you kind of got to rely on the big play. You know, that's what I'll say about him. He is a big play type of running back. But Ezekiel Elliott, man, I mean, this year has just been tough for him. And I know he's been around 70 scrimmage yards, in the last couple of weeks and whatnot. But I just think going up against the Chiefs, if Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs don't come out here and completely handle business against maybe the worst team in football, maybe outside of the Carolina Panthers, I mean, the Patriots are probably the worst team in football. So I just don't see them being nearly close in this game enough to be able to rely on Ezekiel Elliott as a running back.
Up next, Peter Cristiano says James Cook, Smith and Jigba, Wandell for the flex.
Ooh, I love this right here. I think James Cook has a great matchup today. You can't forget what he did last week, broke over 100 scrimmage yards. He was damn near pushing 150 scrimmage yards. Wandell Robinson coming off a huge game. They used him in the rushing attack last week as well. He had 2 carries for 32 yards. I got Smith and Jigma on my bench just simply because he's the odd man out in my wide receiver core. I'm rolling with Jake Ferguson in the flex this week as well. So I think this is a toss-up. Like, these are 3 good players right here. Let me see. James Cook. Do I want to rely on James Cook? Every time I want to rely on that Buffalo Bills rushing attack, they let me down.
That's a thought going through my mind.
I'm still going James Cook.
Yeah.
He's the only running back out of these 3 guys. I think it's a volume thing here. They're going to at least try to establish the running game. Wandell Robinson, the Saints are probably looking at that tape from last week going, do not let that guy beat us.
1,000% agree with you. I think the way that you just broke that down, because I love Smith and Jigba. I love the matchup. I really think he has an opportunity to put together a solid game. But being number 3 to lock it, I mean, even if he's number 2 to, over Lockett, right? Or 2B with Lockett. It's just, I don't know if there's going to be enough to go around to put him over James Cook, because James Cook can catch the ball at the backfield too. So the volume is, like you said, is just there for me. I'm also going to go James Cook there.
And I had James Cook in my sleeper section, but while the homie is here, I forget who just posted that.
Peter
that
Cristiano.
Last one. Peter Cristiano. So James Cook, you were talking about the passing attack. He's in the last 3 games. And I'm going to let the cat out the bag. He's in my sleeper section, but I got a bunch of sleepers for y'all, so this is all good. 16 targets in the last 3 games for James Cook. So absolutely, I'd run with James Cook, but do not be surprised if Smith and Jigma has a big game. I think you could kind of roll the dice with Smith, but I would totally go James Cook. Just wanted to throw that out there for you.
Up next, Jared McDonald says, Jacobs and Pacheco are out. I need a running back too. Kenneth Walker, James Conner, or Jerome Ford. It seems to be a lot of James Conner and Jerome Ford mixtures going on here. I love Kenneth Walker. I hate the matchup. Obviously, you're talking about going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. The one thing they do defensively well is stop the run. Now, you're talking also about Kenneth Walker splitting carries now almost 50-50 with Charbonnet. And Kenneth Walker, I don't think it's as top 50 running back play in the last 3 or 4 weeks. So,
but he was coming off the injury. There was coming off the injury. 2 weeks ago he didn't even play. So you got to consider that as well. So I don't think that he's necessarily going to the 50-50 volume because he's the second running back. I think that's because of the injury.
But still, splitting carries is splitting carries when we're talking fantasy, so it makes it a little bit difficult to rely on him.
How healthy is he is the question, because I think if you have a healthy Kenneth Walker, Charbonnet's not going to be taking more carries than him.
Kenneth Walker, if healthy and playing Kenneth Walker football, to me is an easy pick over those 2 guys. I just don't. Do we go Kenneth Walker by default over James Conner and Jerome Ford? That's the question, really.
You brought up the matchup, and I think that is important. Going against Philadelphia Eagles defense, that rush defense is top 5 right now, I believe. That is a tough matchup. But then look at the other guys. I mean, Jerome Ford's going up against the second best rushing defense in the entire NFL today. And James Conner's going up against the San Francisco 49ers, who have not allowed a 100-yard rusher in over 40-something games.
I think it's the top 3 run defenses, all these running backs right now.
Yeah, if keep your eye on like pregame is the Seattle Seahawks is Monday night. That's tough, bro. That's tough. I might wait it out because the thing is, you can kind of see what your score's looking like in your matchup. The thing is if Kenneth Walker is not getting, we got to look this up. We got to look up the exact touches. We got to do him justice right here. Let me look at the game log for Kenneth Walker real quick and just see if it shows any signs of being really healthy. All right, so 8 touches last week against the San Francisco 49ers. That just goes to show you, man, like when you're going up against some 49ers, James Conner got 8 for 21 yards. And before that, he had 4 for 18, which was before he got hurt. So he's only been back healthy for 1 game. He got hurt on November 19th. December 10th last week was his first game. I don't know if you could roll the dice quite yet and say that he's healthy, especially going up against a decent defense. But then James Conner. So now you got to look at these matchups.
All three.
I think that the Browns have more potential to be ahead in that game against the Bears than the Cardinals do against the San Francisco 49ers. I'm going Jerome Ford out of these 3 running backs.
I'm going to double down with you. I also like Jerome Ford. That's a tough call with those 3 plays there. Big shout out to Inflictive 2K. Did I do that right?
Yeah, you did that right.
Inflictive 2K says Breece Hall, Zeke, DeAndre Swift, Antonio Gibson start 2. Excuse me. I'm going to go. Damn, I want to say Gibson, but I'm not going to. DeAndre Swift and Breece Hall.
Maybe. Yeah, I think the obvious pick is DeAndre Swift, Breece Hall. But Gibson, you never know. I mean, we know Eric Bieniemy. They're the number 1 passing team in the NFL as far as balance and ratio goes. They're passing the ball on over 60% of their plays. Is he going to get touches? But he does get, some in the passing attack as well. I think Breece Hall, the reliance on the big play. And then here's the other thing. They're going up against the Miami Dolphins. If Tyreek Hill and them start going crazy, they're not going to be able to run the ball. What's crazy, too, is that the Jets, I was looking these numbers up the other day. When I looked up Washington being the number 1 team as far as pass percentage, the Jets are up there, too. And that made no sense to me with what's going on with their quarterback situation. I know they were in the top 5 as far as most passing percentage in the NFL. I really think this leans me a little bit more towards Antonio Gibson in a matchup where the Jets are probably going to be down on the scoreboard unless that defense absolutely comes out there and finds a way to shut down Tyreek Hill. But good luck. They call him Cheetah for a reason. So I'm going Gibson and I'm going DeAndre Swift.
Not mad at it. Not mad at it at all. Jerry McDonald, DeAndre Hopkins or Rice at flex. I'm going Hopkins all day. I think Hopkins has a big game today, actually, against that Houston Texans pass defense. They've given up some monster games to wide receivers. Hopkins is coming off of a big game last week. I like Hopkins over Rice.
This is tough. The thing about Hopkins is he needs the volume, right? And we're talking about going up against a team with a backup quarterback out there. You said it was Case Keenum, right?
Yeah.
That could get real ugly real fast, and the Titans could stop passing the ball early on in that game. Same thing goes for the Chiefs going up against the Patriots, too. DeAndre Hopkins, man, I was looking into his numbers. He has more receiving yards than both of the top New York Giants wide receivers combined right now. He has 6 touchdowns on the season, but our top leading wide receivers, pass catchers outside of Saquon Barkley, each have 1 touchdown. And I think DeAndre Hopkins was absolutely the move. A lot of people gave me pushback on that tweet saying, what's done is done. We couldn't get him money, all that stuff. But DeAndre Hopkins is showing you that he's a reliable target for a young quarterback. Will Levis out there playing some decent football, and he's smart enough to target him. And you see them kind of beefing on the field a little bit because DeAndre Hopkins is the kind of wide receiver that he's going to hold his quarterback accountable. Kind of reminds me of me when I'm out on the football field. I'm like, bro, I'm open every play. Throw me the damn ball. And that's how Hopkins is. I think you got to look at the surrounding cast with the Kansas City Chiefs. Kelsey, I think, could be involved in the pass attack a lot. I forget the other tight end converted to wide receiver over there, 84, who was dropping a couple of passes. Justin Watson could be involved in it a little bit. Maybe Kadarius Toney if he can learn to, line up on sides and whatnot. I think I'm with you. I think I'm going to go Hopkins.
All right, we're going to get to one more. I do have all your questions lined up. We're going to get to one more question, and then we're going to get into our sleeper section, and then we'll get back to your questions. Speaking of DeAndre Hopkins, banged up Tyreek Hill versus Jets or DeAndre Hopkins?
Tyreek Hill all day.
You have to go Tyreek Hill. I understand the worry, but I mean he's got you here. He's got you.
He came back last week and went crazy. I had a Bleacher Report stream, so I turned that game off. I had no idea that they, it took me a few hours before I looked up and I was like, they didn't win that game.
Yeah.
How in the hell did that happen? Because
a
they
lot
were
of
in
people
control.
Went to sleep.
Yeah, I was up for it, but I just had to get off and go on that stream. I was just like, damn, I couldn't believe it. They were in scoring position. I haven't even gone back to check what happened. But Tyreek Hill came back in and he balled out, even with the hobbled ankle, after not being out there for at least a quarter. So yeah, you got to go Tyreek Hill. That's the best wide receiver in football right now.
Absolutely. All right, before we get into the next round of questions, we are going to give you our top sleepers for Week 15 fantasy football, NFL. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to start this one off. It's a little bit of backlash on my Green Bay love from last week, but I'm going to double down one more week on the Green Bay love. Jayden Reed. I love Jayden Reed. Yeah, we've talked about him throughout most of this season when it comes to questions. A lot of people have had some questions. He's been in our sleeper section a couple of times, but he's playing really, really well. Last week, he had 12 targets without Watson in the lineup. Tampa Bay has allowed the third most production to wide receivers this season, so I don't expect Christian Watson to play in this game. I expect another big game from Jayden Reed. Up next, Antonio Gibson. We kind of talked about him a little bit so far. Last week, he played 56% of the snaps without Brian Robinson in. He also had 72 total yards, which I believe led the team. And he had 14 opportunities last week, which was a season high for Antonio Gibson. So I like Antonio Gibson this week as a sleeper. I'm assuming they're going to need to find some offense somehow, some way, because their defense is probably going to give up around 40 points in this game. And then speaking of giving up 40 points, they're probably going to be giving up a lot of love to Demarcus Robinson, former Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver. This stat right here blew my mind. Last week, Demarcus Robinson ran 98% of the routes without Tutu Atwell. And even crazier, 10 targets. Led the team. Had more targets than Puka, more targets than Cooper Kupp. So I like Demarcus Robinson as a sleeper against the Washington Commanders this week. Awthentik, who you got in the sleeper section for him?
All right, so we talked about this when you were talking about the Saints game and whatnot. You said all wide receivers. I'm a flip-flop on this one a little bit. Isaiah Hodgins has been extremely touchdown dependent the last couple of games. He's got a touchdown in each of his last two performances. Him and Tommy DeVito got a little something going. And I got Tommy DeVito in my sleeper section as well. If you're really struggling at the quarterback position like the Beard was last week when he started Aiden O'Connell, he was a week early on the 3 touchdown vibes because he did get the 3 touchdowns
on Thursday.
He had 4. And I mean, he had some great field position. He had some really good field position in that game. But I like Tommy DeVito as well. Passer rating over 100 in 3 straight games, 0 turnovers in those 3 games, 71 yards rushing on the ground last week. And I think what that shows you is that Brian Dable and Mike Kafka are going to a kind of a philosophy like they had with Daniel Jones in 2022. If the first read is not there, go out there and just try to get some yards with your legs. And I think DeVito's doing a really good job of that. He is leaving a lot of yards out there on the field, though, missing some wide receivers across the middle. He's not the tallest of stature quarterback, so I think that he does struggle to see people getting open across the middle just a bit. But I kind of like him this week. I don't think he's like some, going to put up some great performance, but if you need just like Gardner Minshew-ish type of stats and whatnot, I think Tommy DeVito could get you those kind of fantasy numbers. I also like Isaiah Likely going up against the Jaguars. He caught 5 of 7 targets for 83 yards and a touchdown in that overtime victory last week against the Rams. Had a 54-yard touchdown, so they're scheming him open in a real nice way. It's likely that he's going to follow up that performance. Shout out to Isaiah Likely one time. I like Taysom Hill. I think that Saints game and that Giants game has some interesting matchups here. And the Giants have given up the 4th most rushing yards or most rushing touchdowns this season as well. And when they get in that red zone, Taysom Hill's definitely going to be a factor. They were dealing with a couple of injuries out there, wide receiver, Rashid Shaheed being banged up, Michael Thomas out for the year. So I think that they're running out of options outside of Alvin Kamara. I like Taysom Hill going against the New York Giants today as well. And we talked about James Cook a little bit. 141 scrimmage yards last week versus the Kansas City Chiefs, and he had a touchdown. And again, I'll repeat it for the people that weren't here, 16 targets over the past 3 games. So I think they'll look to get him involved in the game early on in the first half. If it's not working out, they're going to do what they do. They're going to let Josh Allen play hero ball.
Just to double down on your Taysom Hill news from our very own sideline reporter for Awthentik and The Beard, a Marge bomb. Chris Olave is officially out for today's game.
Took some big hits last week. I saw one on the sideline, kind of slapped his helmet against the ground.
Wait, where are we at? Who is this? Platino Power. What are we talking here? I need more information
I was like,
here.
yo, whatever you just said, I didn't know what the hell you was talking about, bro. Like, what is he doing over here?
Tyreek Hill is officially inactive today.
So there you go. That forces your hand right there, man.
Wow.
That must be the swelling, man. You know, you let that ankle kind of sit a little bit, take it up out the cleats. You know, that shot from Varsity Blues start wearing off a little bit.
I saw you. I tried so many times to find that GIF, and I haven't been able to find it. When I saw you post it with Zach Moss going down on Saturday, I said, man, that's why Awthentik is authentic. He knows how to find everything when it comes to the interwebs. Big shout out.
All I did was search Varsity Blues, bro.
I do it too, man. I don't know why it doesn't come up. I mean, I did Varsity Blues, halftime Varsity Blues shot. I just could never find it. Big shout out to Lexo24. Says, for the $1.99 super chat, says DeAndre Swift or James Cook. Also, Waller, Kincaid, or Pitts.
That is tough. I'm going Kincaid as far as the 3 tight ends. Pitts did have a pretty decent game last week, though. But Pitts is just inconsistent. The Swift and the James Cook one is tough. That is tough.
Not easy.
I'm going to go DeAndre Swift. I picked the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday, by the way. He picked the Buffalo Bills, so I don't know. That might change the way he kind of picks this one a little bit.
I'll go Cook and Kincaid. They'll double down on the Bills.
Yeah, see, I told you.
Double down on
now,
the
look,
Bills.
so you okay with that, though? 2 Buffalo Bills in the lineup? Just want to make sure you're giving out some sound advice.
I did have that game going 31-30 Buffalo, so I think the points are going to be there. So, I mean, I thought about going Pitts over Kincaid. I really did because of the matchup against Carolina.
Yeah.
But he is just I thought about it because I remember looking at his numbers today when I was filling out my DraftKings lineups, and I was just like, if he doesn't score a touchdown, there's nothing there, Kyle Pitts wise. You know, there's just nothing there. So
and quarterback situation, my God.
Oh, well, I'm going to use that game that Ritter had last week on an upcoming stat here coming up. But yeah, in this situation, I just feel like that their points are going to be up there. But if you really believe in that Dallas defense against Buffalo, then you can easily go Swift and Pitts, and it wouldn't. I don't think you're going to. It's not that going to be that crazy of a difference. I believe.
I would not do that for the simple fact that it's Josh Allen, bro. It's getting colder out here. Yeah. I don't think we could doubt him to the point where you got to sit both Buffalo Bills players. I would start one of them, at least one of them, to be honest, because the difference between these tight ends is not that drastic, right? Like Darren Waller, I think, rule him out for now. It's unlikely that he's going to have a big game coming back off the IR.
Yeah. Up next, big shout out to Nitty on Twitty. Round 1, playoffs. Herbert screwed me. Picked up a quarterback. Is it going to be Levis, Flacco, or DeVito?
That's a great question right there, Nitty. All right, so we got DeVito going up against the Saints today.
Yep.
We got Flacco going up against the Chicago Bears, where the strength of that defense is against the run. And then the Titans going up against the Texans without C.J. Stroud. It's really tough because I imagine that the Titans are going to get up on the scoreboard pretty early in that game, at least by a good 10, 7 points possibly. And you might not see a lot of throwing. They might rely on the 2 running backs with Derrick Henry and what's the other dude, the little scat back over there? I can't remember his name.
Spears.
Spears, yeah.
Tajay Spears.
Tajay Spears, yep. So I think they might rely on both of them. Are we going to go Flacco against the Bears? That would be absolutely crazy. We're going Flacco?
We're going Flacco. It's either Flacco or Levis. DeVito's not in the conversation with these 3 guys in this situation.
But so even with the matchup, you know, I do think that DeVito has a decent matchup. Like, he's showing you that he can beat those middle-range type of teams, which the Green Bay Packers were exactly that, and he handled business over there.
I mean, fantasy, though.
Flacco put up... DeVito, if Wan'Dale Robinson doesn't tackle him, he has a rushing touchdown to pad those stats even more. And he had the passing touchdown through the air, no interception, 71 yards on the ground. I know it was just 158 yards through the air, but he was on his way to 2 touchdowns. I think it's a toss-up between, I mean, you can't rule out Levis either. How are we going to have DeAndre Hopkins on a high horse, but we're going to rule out Levis?
Pass defense has given up monster games this year to quarterbacks.
Oh, man. Nitty, you got us going because this is a very difficult question right here. And you know Justin Fields is about to be out here battling for his Chicago Bears life today.
Flacco.
So it might be a game that's kind of close where Flacco's going to be. The odds of DeVito putting together 4 straight performances, 4 solid performances. Nah, we got to sit on this question for a second. We really do.
It's in the star.
We got time.
It's all the star category. So we'll come. You want to come back?
No, I want to stay on it right now. Okay. No coming back. Nitty right here in the building right now, I bet. All right, so you got Joe Flacco last week. He had 3 touchdowns against the Jaguars. He in both the games that he has started, he's under 58% completion percentage. He has a turnover in each one of those games, right? So let's just keep that in mind, okay? Jaguars, coming back with Trevor Lawrence a little bit banged up. A lot of those numbers from Flacco happened early on. Now, I remember when I tried to start Levis, man, he had a tough outing. I just want to see how he's been playing as of late.
He had a good game, I think, against the Dolphins, fantasy-wise.
One touchdown, 1 interception against the Dolphins, 327 yards, 60.5%. Damn, this is so tough, man. I don't want to lead you in the wrong direction, bro. All right, let's go Flacco. Let's go Flacco. I'm with it.
Well, Flacco's, even though during those games, 25.3 fantasy points last week, 17.2 fantasy points the week before.
That secondary for the Bears though has potential, man. They have potential. They really do have potential. And when you talk about the Jaguars and the Rams, those are not juggernaut defenses. Damn. It's Flacco or Levis for me, Nitty. It's Flacco or Levis for me. I'll let you make the final decision.
Big shout out to Nitty checking in on Twitter. Up next, Dylan. Few questions, different leagues, all full PPR. Pick 2, Pollard, Jalen Reed, James Cook. We're just going to read it. We'll pick them one before we get into
one at a time,
next.
Yeah.
Pick 2. Oh, that's tough. I love Jalen Reed today.
I go with one of the running backs. I go Cook or Pollard. And I think I go Pollard.
Well, you get to pick 2. So it's either Pollard and Cook or Pollard
and
in
that case, you could go Pollard and Reed, I think. Reed has been involved in that game plan a lot. Yeah, I go Pollard and Reed, even though I do like James Cook in my sleeper section this week. I picked the Dallas Cowboys to win that game. So I'm expecting them to have the lead in the fourth quarter. Pollard has been getting the volume all year. And I think he's due for a big game. I'm gonna go Tony Pollard, and I'm gonna go Reed against the Bucks.
Ooh, this is tough. Waddle or Reed? I think you have to go Waddle.
Who you going with the pick 2 first on the first one, though? I don't think I heard.
I'm going to go with Pollard and Reed as well.
Pollard and Reed as well, okay.
Yeah. So pick 1, Waddle versus Jets or Jalen Reed versus Tampa Bay. No Tyreek Hill. Waddle's the clear number 1 now. That is going to be the offense outside of the running backs, I'd imagine.
I'm going Reed. The Jets' pass defense is really good. They're really good.
Damn you.
Remember, a quarterback hadn't breached 10 fantasy points against them since week 6. The only one to do it was Josh Allen. And now you got no Tyreek. I mean, that's just not going to help Waddle.
Yeah, it's not. We'll double down on Reed. Defense, Titans versus Texans, Saints versus Giants.
Waddle on the bench.
Yeah, it's tough. Ravens versus Jaguars. Got to go Titans, right?
Yeah, I like the Titans matchup. Yeah. Titans' rush defense is really good. Their pass defense is not as good. But yeah, the matchup should be good. I mean, unless Case Keenum does something crazy. Last time I saw Case Keenum do something really awesome was when rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins won his first start, and Case Keenum had to go into the game and kneel the ball. So yeah, I don't know about Case Keenum today. I think I go with the Titans.
Up next, one more from Dylan says, pick 1, Connor Ford. This is the theme of the day. Devin Singletary or Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
The last 2 I'm ruling out. I think Ford, Ford and Connor have terrible matchups today. But yeah, I'd go Ford.
I kind of like Clyde Edwards-Helaire here, but if you're looking for some reassurance on this sort of situation, we have both been answering Ford previous to Clyde Edwards-Helaire being thrown into the mix. He did receive a majority of the action in the backfield outside the 2-minute drill to McKinnon.
Can't go with him. 11 for 39, 3.5 yards per carry, 2 receptions last week. Outside of that, bro, he has not breached over 21 yards in 9 weeks.
Yeah, because that's Pacheco. Pacheco's been carrying the load, but no Pacheco anymore.
Nah, I ain't doing it.
Up next, quarterback question. Lamar or Purdy? I'm going Lamar. As much as I want to play Purdy today, I'm going to go Lamar. Can't go against Lamar.
I'm going Lamar as well.
Big shout out to James Jones. Debo or Puka? That's tough, but I got to go Puka against Washington.
I mean, Debo against the Cardinals? Oof. I got to go Debo. Yak monster over there, man. I got to go with Debo. And might get a couple of carries.
Here we go. This one is for Awthentik. He is the specialist in this department. Kicker, Tyler Bass or Greg the Leg?
Why am I the specialist in this department?
Just because I wanted to see your facial reaction to that.
That's crazy.
Shout out Chris Peace. Appreciate you as always, my friend.
I'll go Greg the Leg, man. I'll go Greg the Leg.
I'll go Greg the Leg just to make you feel. Tyler Bass has missed some field goals and some extra points, and it's Buffalo. You never know what's going to happen.
Just go with the projection, bro. Go with the highest projection. All right.
Here we go. Chiefs defense or Ravens defense? This should be easiest as possible.
Both got
Chiefs
good matchups,
defense.
but yeah, I go Chiefs. I'm starting the Chiefs defense this week, actually going up against the Patriots. I scooped them up 2 weeks ago. You know, you got to skate to where the puck is going, y'all. You got to skate to where the puck is going. I picked up Philly's defense too, but then I was like, man, I can't wait until they play the Giants. I don't know if I'll even be around in the playoffs during then. Scooped up them Chiefs defense one time.
Big shout out to Mike the Realist. Kyler or Brock? McBride or Breece Hall? I'm starting Ingram at tight end right now. I listen, McBride is a machine. I will play McBride in that flex. And Kyler or Brock, I think you got to go Brock over Kyler. As much as I like Kyler in fantasy formats, Brock Purdy's been on fire.
Yeah, I'm definitely going Brock Purdy. Coin flip on McBride or Breece Hall. Hey, you know, running backs I always want to lean towards running backs because you know you're going to get the volume when you get close to the red zone, down to the one. They're going to get the touches and whatnot. And now just hearing that Tyreek Hill is inactive, I think that really hurts the Miami Dolphins in this game. That game could be a lot closer than people imagine.
Oh, this one's tough. Marjorie, Jalen Reed or McLaurin? I think you have to go Jalen Reed. The numbers just point that way. I mean, McLaurin could have a game, right? But if ifs were a fifth, Awthentik, what would happen?
Yeah, we'd all be completely hammered drunk like a gig I worked at yesterday. Yeah. Bad.
Oh, man. All right. Up next, we're going to get into some more segments before we get to the next load of questions. We're going to talk about the top quarterback plays for Week 15 in the National Football League Fantasy Football. Mr. Awthentik, who are your top rock slingers in Week 15?
Rock slingers. I kind of like that. All right. You cannot put Dak Prescott in this category. He's been absolutely balling out. Leads the NFL in passing touchdowns with 28. Dak can also, I'm so hyped for this quarterback section. I got some great nuggets, y'all. Definitely stick around for this one. But Dak can set a franchise record with his 8th consecutive game with multiple passing touchdowns. Good God, that is absolutely ridiculous. Cowboys lead the league in scoring right now too, man. You got to go with those high potent offenses, averaging 32.4 points per game. And I love the matchup. I think this is going to be a matchup of two quarterbacks that I thought were really close about 2 years ago before Josh Allen started going completely crazy. I'm going Josh Allen versus the Cowboys. Josh Allen is one of two quarterbacks to have a passing touchdown in every single game this season. Did you hear yesterday who the other quarterback is?
I didn't.
Russell Wilson is the other quarterback to have a passing touchdown in every game this season. Josh Allen leads the NFL in total touchdowns with 35. He's got 10 rushing touchdowns on the year. Today's game is so important. Today's game versus Dallas is going to be the third time ever that you will get a matchup with the leading touchdown passer and the leading total touchdown player. Josh Allen is already one of the two players, and this is only the third time we've seen this in the history of the league. So Josh Allen now owns two positions in those 3 games where you're going with the guy who has the most passing touchdowns in the NFL and the guy who has the most total touchdowns in the NFL. And that was just last year. Josh Allen did it when he went up against Patrick Mahomes in 2022. So I love that matchup. If that goes according to schedule, that should be a high-scoring, boat race type of game. A lot of points on the board. Both those quarterbacks should be at the top of fantasy at the end of the week. And last but not least, I'm going Lamar Jackson against those Jaguars. Another amazing nugget here. So Lamar Jackson led the Ravens last week with 70 rushing yards. It was his 5th game of the year where he led his team as the leading rusher. In his career, Lamar Jackson has 36 games as the Ravens' leading rusher, and they have not had slouches at running back over there. I know they've had a slew of running backs, a whole stable of running backs come through Baltimore. Now, he's tied second for all time with Randall Cunningham with those 36 games where he's the leading rusher. Shout out to my guy one time. I love all the publicity this man has been getting this week. Big shout out to that man, Cam Newton, one time. Dropping a lot of gems that's flying over a lot of people's heads when he's talking about the game manager versus the game changer. And he talked about elite game managers. He didn't just say game managers. And people need to get rid of the negative nuances that are around the word game manager, okay? And game changers, players like Lamar Jackson, who is second with the most games as far as being the leader rusher for his team with 36, and Cam Newton is number 1 with 42 games for his team where he was the leading rusher. So I like Lamar Jackson. If I had to pick one of these guys, y'all know how it's been. I've been talking about Dak Prescott probably since he was on 2 games where he went back-to-back with consecutive touchdowns. I'm going Dak Prescott as the number 1 guy this week.
Excuse me. I'm not mad at that at all. Listen, Matt Stafford going up against the Commanders. I don't need to tell you anything else. Commanders are the worst defense as a whole in the National Football League. I told everybody that, listen, moving forward, if you're playing against the Commanders, you will be in my top 3. I expect Matthew Stafford to probably go for about 303 touchdowns, somewhere along those lines today. I also have Lamar Jackson. I mean, Lamar Jackson has just been, he's just everything. He's averaging 250-plus yards through the air the last 3 games. 6 touchdowns, only 1 interception the last 3 games. He's averaging 54.3 yards on the ground the last 3 games. I mean, like, that's what you want out of that quarterback position, to give you all of those type of points. He's at back-to-back 11-carry games, touching on, the rushing stats that you were talking about. So I love Lamar Jackson. Jacksonville also allows the 2nd most passing yards per game in the National Football League, and they have allowed the 6th most passing touchdowns this season. So I expect Lamar Jackson to have a monster game this week. And I'm going to round it out with somebody who, man, when that pre-production meeting, Awthentic's facial expressions, I'm going to go with your younger brother, Jordan Love.
Oh, Jordan Love, my doppelganger.
Yes.
My doppelganger.
Yeah, there we go.
My man Tommy Football said, it's the funniest quote I ever heard, yo. He said, Awthentic, football on Sundays, YouTube on Mondays. I thought that was a bar.
But I like the matchup for Jordan Love. Tampa Bay allows the 3rd most passing yards per game in the NFL. Last week, Tampa Bay let Desmond Ridder throw for 347 yards. So I kind of like Jordan Love.
There's a lot of 300-yard performances last week. How many touchdowns did Ridder have last week?
1 touchdown.
I mean, come on.
It's still Desmond Ridder. There's some turnovers mixed in there. So
yeah,
I'm going to go with Jordan Love to be a surprise.
So let me get this clear, because there's a little bit of you kind of on some negative, kind of like biased vibes, right? Right, where it's like your team's so bad, you're just like, whoever's playing us, start them. My team's trash. Forget my team, right? So it's like the opposite bias is like, it's not the bias you're used to seeing from fans, like where it was like, Sam Howell's probably one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now, like 5 weeks ago, right? So very opposite on that end. Jordan Love, this is the top performer section. You saw Jared Goff yesterday, right? So what we're saying here is that Jordan Love has a possibility.
I don't want to steal your thunder by doing that. I've never done that before.
I don't think that I'm going to be able to put up a top fantasy performance against the Bucks this week, bro. I got YouTube shows, I got Bleacher Report stuff to do. It's going to be tough.
Jordan Love will throw.
Oh, here we go. Here go one of these.
Jordan Love will throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns today.
Okay. See, I tried to reenact the Aiden O'Connell.
The Aiden O'Connell can't be reenacted. That was just.
I gave it a little.
That was the one.
Okay. Okay.
Let's get
Jordan Love will be a top fantasy performer. I will double down on that and bank that Jordan Love won't even be top 5.
Okay. See how I did that just now?
Hey, it's good. Watch when we clip. Shout out to Sebastian and Stan. They always looking at these clips when they chop this one up. Shout out to them, because you go see. Jordan Love, man.
I'm
Top
telling
performer, man. Top performer.
you. Yeah. If he's not top 5, right? Well, I will say this: he'll be top 3 if you're not including anybody from yesterday.
Come on, we can't do that.
I know we can't do that, but I'm just doing it.
Can't do
just
that.
in case. It's my insurance policy.
I mean, I even think your insurance policy is going to backfire. You're going to get you're going to get the claim back. They're going to be like, "Sir, you have a deductible of $2,000 here." Jordan Love, I'm just not going for it. I will see. What time's their game at?
I think every game's at 1:00 except for Dallas, San Fran, and Washington. So
we get to know that by 4:00. Get the other department ready on this one.
Okay, editing department. I'm gonna need you to be on call for 1:00 games. We're gonna get to a couple more questions before we get to the other positions, and then pick every single game. Bergs, Tyreek's out. Next best bet: Ridley or DJ Moore. DJ Moore's a little bit banged up, but I think I
don't double down. That Calvin Ridley joined last week. That one didn't pan out so great, right?
Didn't, but I don't think
Evan Ingram,
Zay Jones
sleeper
is back.
section.
I think Zay Jones is banged up again, and Kirk is out. Do we go Ridley against, I don't know, Baltimore's defense? We're going to go DJ Moore.
Yeah, I'm going DJ Moore. I got DJ Moore in the lineup. He is questionable. I hope nothing comes out during the warm-ups, tweak something, whatever. Like, nah, like we need DJ Moore out there. My fantasy livelihood is banking on it today. I think I go DJ Moore, who's been the more consistent receiver this year, even when he was dealing with Bajan at quarterback.
Yeah, especially when Fields came back too.
He's
been on absolute fire. Big shout out to the Joker. Full PPR. Pick 1. HN with injury. Chuba Hubbard, Jerome Ford, Calvin Ridley. He has Raheem Mostert as his RB1 already.
Chuba is very, very tempting. Very tempting. I almost put Chuba in my sleeper section this week. If it's not Chuba, I think I'm going Jerome Ford, even though the matchup's kind of tough. HN, injury now with no Tyreek Hill, I think that does kind of hurt them, but the Dolphins have shown that they can run the damn ball, that's for sure. Let's give a definitive answer here. I'm going sleeper. Chuba Hubbard against the Falcons.
This is not going to help you at all. I'm going to go Calvin Ridley. I apologize.
Calvin Ridley. You like Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley was looking good in the offseason, man. I don't know what it is, what's going on with him. He looked like he was going to be a top guy.
Yeah, he's had some very inconsistencies this year.
I want to see Jalen Hyatt start training with Calvin Ridley. The way Ridley gets in and out of breaks and the way he breaks down his routes, man, he's one of the best at it.
Kyler, Trevor, or our guy, Joe Cool. Half-point PPR.
Can we not go Trevor? Trevor started off slow last week and then kind of got things going back in the second half. Dealing with a little bit of that injury with the high ankle sprain. I'm sure it's getting a little better. How these dudes playing with high ankle sprains? I don't understand it.
Yo no say.
That shot from Varsity Blues, man, it's going a long way. It's going all the way around the country. What was my man? Bud Kilmer. You put that shot in his arm, you find yourself another quarterback. Yo, man. Yeah, I mean,
Do we double down on Flacco here?
No.
Okay, Trevor Lawrence. All right. You're not going
See,
to go
this way
Flacco
we could
over
say
Kyler.
We said Trevor, and then if Flacco ball out, we could say we went Flacco. You see what we're doing here?
So we're doubling down on Trevor, right? That's the answer.
I mean, we said Flacco the first time, so we're going to go with Trevor. I'm going to go with Trevor. I don't know about all this doubling. I'm going with Trevor Lawrence.
We'll go Trevor Lawrence in this instance. Big shout out to the chef for the $1.99 super chat. Achane, Mostert, or Puka? Who do I flex?
Give me Raheem Mostert. Leads the NFL in rushing touchdowns, right?
I got to go Puka, man. Listen, I just... Puka's probably, I don't know if it's standard or PPR, but I think Puka's probably going to have a 20-point fantasy game today. All right, it just makes sense. This is the thing that's crazy is that since the I think it was the 2-game win streak or whatever, 3-game win streak the Commanders had to start the season, every single quarterback that has faced the Washington Commanders has scored more points than they averaged, more points than they've projected, and not just by a little bit, like by a significant amount. So whatever you think the Rams are going to do, they're probably going to do better. So I think you have to go Puka in this situation.
Puka could have a big game. I mean, he's had 2 big games back to back. He's been pretty consistent for the last month. I don't think you could go wrong with going Puka. I just like Mostert, man. The volume around the red zone and when you get close to that goal line. And, today, I mean, the game plan's obviously going to shift a little bit without Tyreek Hill. Maybe the red zone attempts do get limited, though. But the Jets' weakness is their run defense, if there is a weakness on that defense. It's why I don't think that defense is elite, is because they're in the bottom third of the NFL. So I'm going to stay with Mostert.
Big shout out to our guy, Tuto. The $4.99 Super Chat says, massive salute and respects to Awthentik and The Beard, #1. Roadmaps, your guides, Gold Nuggets library, and please slap all fake Saints losers in front of their own house, hard and fast. Fist pump, Italy. Shout out my guy Tudo, man. I'm gonna run with that right there. The Gold Nuggets library. That's a bar right there for my homie Tudo, man. And when you said loser, that kind of reminded me of Ace Ventura. Yeah. Yesterday I went back and threw it back, with some 90s vibes, and I watched one of my favorites as a kid. When I turned it on, my girl was like, "What are you watching?" Jimmy Dolan Shaking Bake. Oh my God, the air up there.
The air up there. Solid movie, man. When you get older and you get to watch those kind of movies and see the nuances, the scene I forgot about from that movie was when they were scouting the kid that came right in the beginning of it. They're scouting the kid. His name is Bud something as well. I forget his name, like Buddy Nix or something. He's a basketball player, and he's like shooting around with Kevin Bacon. And he's pretty much like, "Look, man, the only reason I'll ever come to y'all school is if y'all put together the right package for me." Right? And he was talking about, like, I need a car. He was like, I need a drop top because I'm a taller type of guy. I'll settle for a Saab, is what he said. So to go show you them 90s innuendos and whatnot. And he ended up playing Kevin Bacon one-on-one. Man, Hollow Man was cooking that boy on the court, bro. That joint was crazy. With a big knee brace. Back when knee braces weren't black, when the knee brace had the Band-Aid color to them and whatnot. Showed him the Jimmy Dolan Shake and Bake within 5 minutes in the movie, man. It just great nuances in that movie, kind of telling the story of some of the players that came from different countries, to come and play for colleges and come and play for the NBA. Dope flick if you've never seen it, for all my youngins out there, man. Check that out, The Air Up There.
I give you listen, just a quick 90s thing, because yesterday I was photographing a comic to sell, and I was opening up the comic to take a picture of the inside, and there was an ad there for Meteor Man.
Oh, that's a solid movie. That's the first black superhero movie ever made. Meteor Man with Robert Townsend. Great director.
Great movie.
Very slept on director that didn't really get his flowers too, I'll say.
And then I'll give you one more suggestion. Just came out on Netflix. The Gran Turismo movie.
Yo, I'm not trusting you on movies no more. I saw that already. That's trash.
You didn't like that?
Yeah, that's trash, bro. The gamer turned driver. It's
a real
bro.
story.
Yeah, it doesn't make it any better of a movie. That movie was trash, bro. That movie was so trash. I hope people in the chat saw it. Maybe they'll leave with you on this one to help you out, because that joint was so boring. That movie was so boring. Oh man, come on, man. This man said the Gran Turismo joint. That joint was. You shooting some duds, man.
It was good, man. I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it.
Let me see if the world agrees with you, because you never know. IMDb is a good, gauge of where a movie is.
It's got to be at least a 7 on IMDb.
Let's see. It's early on, man. Maybe some votes were high on it. Maybe 7.1. I'll give you that. But that movie was garbage for me. Sorry, that movie was garbage. Watchable, I'll give you that, but not a good movie.
All right, we're gonna go into different.
I don't even remember the homie's name in the movie.
We're gonna go Jan. His name was Jan. We're gonna.
It was Jan.
It's a real story. We're gonna move out of movies and into running backs. These are our top running back plays for Week 15. Shout out Irish Rover. He says a 7, only because it's a true story.
Only because it's a true story.
And shout out to our sponsor for our giveaways. Vintage Sport Flip says Awthentik and the Trusty Beard's picks after Squid Games.
Never. That Squid Games real world road rules challenge ass show you sent me, that joint was no bueno, bro. What was that?
All right, listen, I got something good for you though here. Rashad White, okay? Tampa Bay Buccaneers That's going to be
that's what you follow me up with and say, I got something good for you here.
He's got 85% of the snaps and 26 touches last week. The guy is absolutely, he is the offense outside of Mike Evans. Okay, Green Bay allows the most production to running backs out of any team in the National Football League, okay? He is top 3 in running back passing usage, okay? So not only is he getting carries, he's catching the ball out the backfield. He's got 8 straight games of at least 15 fantasy points, okay? This is an opportunity for a good, solid, standout game for Rachaad White. Up next, Christian McCaffrey. We're going to go Christian McCaffrey. He's averaging 25.3 fantasy points per game. Arizona allows the 3rd most rushing yards per game in the National Football League. They have also allowed the 5th most rushing touchdowns in the National Football League all year long. And then I'm going to round it out with, go figure, a Los Angeles Rams player. Not only is he a Los Angeles Rams player, he is also a former Notre Dame Fighting Irish player. That is Kyren Williams. If this guy would have played the entire year from day one, no injury, no Cam Akers in the beginning of the season, he might be the top running back in fantasy football, if not the top running back in the National Football League statistic-wise. Okay? Since he came back, he's been averaging 26.3 fantasy points since he got back from injury. And once again, he is facing the Commanders. Those are my top 3 running back plays, Week 15 National Football
I like
League.
it. Rachaad White, not too bad either. Has a 200-yard performances on the ground in his last 3 games, so real good there. I'll agree with you on the Christian McCaffrey. I think Christian McCaffrey has been in my top section every week. This dude's definitely been balling out. In his past 3 games, has 60.5 fantasy points. In those 3, has rushed for 352 yards on 52 carries, 3 touchdowns. He also has 73 receiving yards on 9 receptions. In Week 4 versus the Arizona Cardinals in their last matchup, Christian McCaffrey had a season-high 41.7 fantasy points, 20 carries for 106 yards, 3 touchdowns, 7 receptions for 71 yards, and 1 touchdown. This is a definitely an alley-oop of a matchup for Christian McCaffrey in this game, so I definitely like him. We talked about Tony Pollard a little bit, and I think Tony Pollard is due for a big game against the Buffalo Bills coming up here. Hasn't had a 100-yard performance since Week 3 on the ground. The Bills are allowing 114 rushing yards per game. I think he should be involved in the pass attack, and then if the Dallas Cowboys get up on the scoreboard a little bit here, look for Tony Pollard to get a bunch of carries in the second half. And we talked about this earlier. Pollard has 16 receptions on 18 targets in his last 3 games. The other guy, I got to go with my homie today, man. You know, I'm doubling down on my New York Giants, man. Big shout out to the gang one time. I'm going Saquon Barkley. Coming off 101 scrimmage yards, 2 touchdowns, only his 3rd 2-touchdown performance on the ground in his entire career. That was against Green Bay Packers over the last 3 games. The Saints are allowing just an incredible number of rushing yards on the ground. First of all, they're ranked 26th in the NFL right now. They were already allowing 131.5 rushing yards per game, but in their last 3, they're almost allowing 200 yards on the ground, 191 yards rushing per game in their last 3. So I'm looking for Saquon Barkley to go crazy today and look for the New York Giants to get a victory.
I'm gonna plug in a Saquon lineup. I think once I get off the line here on DraftKings, that stat is just mind blowing. And I almost forgot about it. I know we talked a little bit about it during the preview show. And if you guys haven't seen the video, we uploaded a preview for the New York Football Giants and New Orleans Saints. It is on the YouTube channel. Make sure you guys check that out right after the parlay before kickoff today.
And for those of y'all that were here for the Thursday preview show, it's cut from that show. So if you were already here on Thursday for the preview show, you've already seen that segment too.
All right, up next, got a couple of questions. Actually, you know what? This is what we're going to do. We're going to get into the wide receivers first, and then we're going to come back. We're going to round out the questions right before we pick every single game because we do have a little bit of short games mount this week because of all the Saturday games. So let's go ahead and talk about our top wide receiver plays for Week 15 in fantasy football. All right, Awthentik, who are your top pass catchers this week, sir?
All right, well, let's go ahead and scratch off Tyreek Hill, who's been ruled inactive for this game. I think you got to keep CeeDee Lamb as a candidate every week. Going up against the Bills this week, that Bills defense is banged up, especially in the secondary. They've lost players. They had Matt Milano go down at the linebacker position. I do think that Dak Prescott's going to go crazy today. You know his number one target has been CeeDee Lamb. I also like DK Metcalf, and I'm going DK Metcalf and AJ Brown to both be in the top 3 this week, okay? DK Metcalf has had more than 7 receptions and at least 150 yards in his 2 previous matchups against the Philadelphia Eagles. Combined for 17 receptions, 237 yards, and he got in the end zone 1 time. Outside of that game where he got ejected last week, in his last 2 full games, he has 4 touchdowns. Now, A.J. Brown going up against this Seahawks defense, I like the matchup. Metcalf and Brown both came into the league in 2019. Didn't Metcalf and Brown go to the same college too?
No.
They didn't go to the same college.
Yeah, no. DK Metcalf.
Okay, so since coming into the league since 2019, I'm gonna look it up when we hop off to make sure what colleges they came from. But since coming into the league in 2019, they are 2 of 6 wide receivers to get 350 receptions, 5,000 yards, and 40 touchdowns. It is going to be on today. That should be another game that's going to be a high-scoring game as well. I like A.J. Brown, and since we got no Tyreek Hill, I think A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf are going to be at the top of the receiving. Right there with Amon-Ra St. Brown, who torched me this week.
He had a great one. I also like DK. I mean, you're going to get big. It's the Eagles. The Eagles have just been letting people eat. So I'm going to double down on DK. And then I'm going to go Deebo Samuel. This is crazy. He's averaging 32.7 fantasy points per game over his last 3 games. So, yeah, he's probably going to have a big game today against those Arizona Cardinals. So I like him. And then last but certainly not least, you guessed it, Los Angeles Rams wide receivers. Give me Puka and give me Kupp. Just give me both of them. I think they probably both go over 100 yards. They both score a touchdown.
Kind of cheating the rules there a little bit.
Yeah, I know. But, listen. Just play everybody who plays the Commanders right now. That's the rule of thumb. We're just going to continue going that route, So I think they both go over 100. They both probably have a receiving touchdown. Once again, notes, it just says Commanders. That's all you need to know. They're the worst. Absolute worst. So shout out to the Los Angeles Rams fantasy owners.
Yeah, so check this out. A.J. Brown was selected by the Titans in the 2nd round, 51st overall in the 2019 draft. He was the 4th of 29 receivers taken in the draft, just 13 picks ahead of his teammate DK Metcalf. They were on the same team together. Mm-hmm.
Am I tripping?
I think so, according to Google. I thought they played at the same college.
Ole Miss?
Yeah, Ole Miss. Mm-hmm.
I thought A.J. Maybe I'm thinking of Alshon Jeffries, South Carolina.
Alshon, that's a name I ain't heard in a minute.
Oh, he was a dog in college, so that's good to know.
Yeah, had some good years in Chicago too, and then kind of fell off. Injuries really killed Alshon Jeffrey when he got to Philly.
Yeah, he was a dog though. So let's get to a couple of quick questions here before we give you guys our picks for every. Yes, they did. Oh yeah, Ole Miss it is. Get to a couple of quick questions before we give you our picks for each and every single game. Up first is going to be our guy, Colton Peters, says Superflex League. These are crazy leagues. I have Jalen and Mahomes. He sat Mahomes for Stafford. Now with the Jalen news, do I put Mahomes in now for Jalen or do I wait and pick up Mariota?
Ooh.
Mahomes against the Patriots? Or a sick Jalen Hurts against the Seahawks, or Mariota in replacement of him.
I just don't. Is there any more information that Mariota could possibly play today for real?
Well, it's Monday night.
Yeah, or Monday night. Is there any information on that?
The last I saw was that they just pushed Jalen Hurts to questionable because of his illness.
So the option here would be to start Mahomes today.
Start Mahomes today, and then you lose Jalen. Or start Jalen, and if he ends up being sick, then you go with Mariota.
I don't like the odds over there with that. I think I'll go Mahomes. I mean, it's a good matchup today. He's going to get a lot of opportunity against that New England Patriots defense.
Yeah, so I think – all right, well, it's tough for me because I like Jalen's numbers possibility. It's a super flex league. You're already gonna have Stafford. I'd go ahead, just play Mahomes is probably what I would do as well. Up next, Jonas, full PPR. Pick 1 running back, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. Ayuk, Diggs, Kyron Williams, Rashad White, and Waddle. Okay.
1 running back, 2 wide receivers.
So my running back's gonna be Kyron Williams.
Yeah.
My flex.
Oh, and a flex.
Yeah.
Oh,
My
yeah.
flex is going to be Rashad White, and then my 2 wide receivers are going to be Ayuk and Diggs. I think I'll leave Waddle out the mix.
I think he listed it like that on purpose because he's probably leaning that way too. I like that too. Ayuk, Diggs, Williams, and Rashad White.
Mark checking in. PPR. Pick 1 wide receiver, 1 running back, and 1 flex. Ayuk, Breece Hall, Raheem Mostert, Puka, and Waddle.
Yeah, I know where I'm going with that. I'm going Ayuk, Mostert, and Puka.
I will double down with you. I will go Ayuk, Mostert, and Puka as well. Big shout out to Manuel, DJ Moore, Garrett Wilson, Jaden Reed. I'm assuming we have to pick one of those.
Yeah. Damn,
DJ
Garrett Wilson,
Moore?
Garrett Wilson, Jaden Reed. I'm worried about DJ Moore. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I got him in the lineup. I got to do what I got to do today, obviously. But the Browns defense, man, they're good. They're a really good defense. I got to think, if I'm your manager here and this is my team, there's no way. I would have to go Moore or Wilson, I think. I don't think I'm sitting either one of those players to put in Jaden Reed, who has been playing well. Give me DJ Moore. I think he's got the better quarterback situation. Give me DJ Moore.
I will go DJ Moore as well. And then last but certainly not least, before we go into pick'em section, Jaden Weed.
Stay off the
Jaden Reed, because I started reading Waddle before I finished Reed.
I do that all the time.
Jaden Reed, Waddle, or Flowers. Flowers might have a big game today.
Yeah, I got Zay Flowers in the lineup too. He has been about a 10-point type of guy, but last week definitely had a big game.
Jacksonville's pass defense is not good.
Yeah, I think they'd look to get him the ball today. Either I'd go Flowers with Reed as a runner-up.
I will double down on that. I totally concur. All right, we will see if there's any other questions once we wrap up the pick'em section. But right now, we are going to pick each and every single game rapid fire, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to pick it against the over, the under, and the spreads, ladies and gentlemen. So get ready. And we love it when you guys are putting in your picks as we pick the games in the chat. Big shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Gregory. I always see Gregory doing that. So, ladies and gentlemen, the first matchup on the slate is going to be the Chicago Bears. They are 5-8. They are headed to Cleveland to face the Browns, who are 8-5. The Browns are 3-point favorites. The over-under is 37.5. Kickoff is at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Authentic, tell me what you got.
All right, listen, y'all. Don't go with my picks when it comes to some of these games because my pride is on the line today, and I'm going with a lot of gut feeling here. Okay, I had 3 McDoubles from McDonald's yesterday. Don't trust this. Okay. I'm going with the Chicago Bears, man. I think that their offense is going to present some problems today. I'm hoping that their offense presents some problems today. And we got to see DJ Moore and Justin Fields do what they do to be able to keep them in this game. I'm going to take the over 37.5 because I do think the Cleveland Browns can put up some points here. Joe Flacco has proven that he can put the ball in the end zone here. But give me the Chicago Bears outright. I think they're going to need a pretty decent game from another one of these weapons, whether it be Cole Kmet or whether it be Darnell Mooney, who has struggled this year. I can't believe at one point me and you kind of looked at Darnell Mooney as a wide receiver 1. And, yeah, we were smoking something good when we thought that because Mooney has definitely been a shell of himself ever since. But somebody's going to need a big game here. I think their running backs are going to have trouble against that Cleveland Browns defense, but give me the Bears.
I'm going to take the Cleveland Browns to win, take the Browns to cover the spread, and I'm going to take the over 37.5. Up next, this is going to be a doozy here. The Atlanta Falcons are 6-7. They're 3-point favorites. They are headed to Carolina to face the Panthers. The over-under is 33.5. Kickoff is at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to take the Falcons. I'll take the Falcons to cover. I'm going to take the under 33.5.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'll take the Falcons. You said you're going to take the Panthers to cover or Falcons?
No, Falcons to cover the 3.
Yeah, Falcons will definitely cover the 3.
And under 33.5.
Maybe let me see, they might get like 24. I'm going to take the over 33.5.
All right, let's see some overs in the chat as well. This game, I think, is going to be one of the more exciting games of the 1 o'clock slate. That's going to be the Tampa Baker Buccaneers. They are headed to Lambeau to face the Green Bay Packers. Both these teams are 6 and 7. The Packers are 3.5-point favorites. The over is 42.5. Kickoff is at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will take the Packers to win, Tampa Bay to cover, and I'll take the over 42.5.
No, I'm taking Tampa Bay in this game. I will take the over 42.5, but I think the Bucs are a better team. The Packers are sitting in that 7th seed, I believe. I don't know if anything has changed. I'm about to look up the playoff picture right now since the games from yesterday. But I think that the Green Bay Packers are really a bad team with a decent record, just kind of hanging on by a thread. I like the Bucs. I think they got more power on their offense, more consistency. They'll be able to run the ball against this Green Bay defense. My New York Giants saw this Green Bay defense last week, man. They cannot stop the run. So I definitely think they should, attack in that fashion and whatnot. But give me the Bucs. I think Baker Mayfield is going to go out here and have a big game. Mike Evans with a touchdown or two.
Up next, the New York Jets. They are 5-8. They must win this game in order to let Aaron Rodgers make the decision to come back next week. They are 5-8. They are headed to South Beach to face the Dolphins, who are 9-4 without Tyreek Hill today. The Dolphins were 8-point favorites. I'll be curious to see what that line is right now. The over-under is 36.5. Kickoff is at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Authentic, tell me what you got.
I'm still going to take the Jets to lose this game. I'm going to take Miami to win this one. I think we can get over the 36.5 even without Tyreek Hill in this game. I'm going to be relying on McDaniels to really put together a really good game plan on the ground. The Miami Dolphins have proven they can run the ball with multiple running backs. Give me the Dolphins in this one. And I know the spread is probably different. I think they cover the 8 anyway.
Ooh, I'm going to take the Dolphins to win. I don't know if I would take them to cover the 8. I'm assuming this line's probably dropped to like 6.5 maybe. So at 6.5 or 6, I'll take Miami. I think Miami probably wins by a touchdown. I think the Jets backdoor cover that 8. Over under 36.5. I'm going to take the under 36.5 in this game. Going with the under. Up next, Kansas City Chiefs, fresh off of a absolute media meltdown. They are 8-5. They are headed up to New England to face the Patriots, who are a disgusting 3-10. The over/under is 37.5. Kickoff is at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Give me the Chiefs. Give me the Chiefs to cover the 8.5, and I'm gonna take the. Jeez, man, I'll take the over 37.5. I think it's probably like 35-10.
I think the Chiefs defense is too good for that. I'm agree with you on all fronts here, but I'm gonna take the under.
Take the under.
Yeah.
Up next, this is an absolute huge game, especially for the Tennessee Titans. The Houston Texans are 7-6. They are holding on to their playoff hopes with none other than Case Keenum. They are headed to Tennessee, who needs to win to stay alive. They are 5-8. They are 3.5-point favorites. The over/under is 36.5. Kickoff is at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to take the Houston Texans. I think that Davis Mills comes into this game at halftime and leads the Texans to a victory over the Titans. I am going to take the under 36.5.
Damn. That's a bold take. Okay. I'm going to stick with the Titans here. No C.J. Stroud. I think that's going to be a really tough matchup. Give me the Titans to cover the 3.5. I'm going to take the under 36.5. I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair.
This is Cernoc's worst nightmare. Shout out Cernoc. He's in the chat. He is originally a Houston Oilers fan, but now kind of a Texans fan, but he hates the Titans because they wear Oilers uniforms sometimes, and he thinks that's disrespectful to the Houston Oilers. So shout out to Cernoc in the chat. I just see a long no in the chat. Up next, the New York Football Giants, ladies and gentlemen. They are 5-8. They are headed down to Bourbon Street to face the Saints, who are 6-7. The Saints are a 5-point favorite, which seems a little crazy to me. Over under 39.5. Kickoff is at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm taking the New York Football Giants outright to win this game. I think I'm taking the under based on my score. I would have 20-17, so 37. Yep, I'm taking the under.
Yeah, I like the under in this one. That is a good pick here. I'm taking the New York Giants as well. These were the games at the beginning of the year when we were, doing our record predictions and whatnot, that were the ones that I felt like were winnable matchups. We're going to be tough games. They're not automatic W's, obviously, and we're not healthy. Obviously, the quarterback position, we're down to our third-string quarterback here with Tommy DeVito, but the story has been really good. 3 straight really good games. Now, just want to go over a couple of things for the playoff situation here for the New York Giants. The Packers are sitting in the 7th seed right now at 6-7. And the Vikings are at 7-7. So this race for those last 2 spots is coming down to the wire. We need the Rams to lose, who are in the 8th seed right now, sitting at 6-7. We need the Seahawks to lose to the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday night. We need the Falcons to also lose today, and we need to beat those Saints. And I think we can start to climb up here a little bit. The New York Giants are sitting in the 12th spot right now. It would be nice to have a tiebreaker over the Saints. That would be amazing. We have a tiebreaker over the Packers already. We got to play the Rams later on, so that will be amazing to be able to beat them. Seattle Seahawks obviously took care of business against us early on in the season. So the Giants are still not mathematically eliminated. It's kind of crazy here, and I think this is absolutely a must-win type of game if we want to see any chances of getting to the playoffs. I know some people are split on that. Some people want the draft pick. Some people want to get to the playoffs. For me, hey, you get a shot at the dance, man. You never know what could happen. Some Tommy DeVito magic start happening, and then if Tommy DeVito can make some more magic happen here in the last couple of weeks, going up against the Philadelphia Eagles twice and try to take the New York Giants to the playoffs, then I will start to consider what will happen going into next year. Right now, we got to look at the game that's ahead of us. I think the New York Giants can outright beat the Saints today. We've been playing better football. 3-game winning streak for the New York Giants. Saints are kind of struggling here. Quarterback Derek Carr has been banged up a lot this season. They got a bunch of injuries. Give me my New York Giants in this one. I'm taking the under.
Up next, the San Francisco 49ers. They're 10-3. They are the biggest favorite on the slate today. They are 11.5-point favorites in Arizona. Over-under is 48.5. Kickoff is at 4:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Awthentik, tell me what you got.
I can't pick the Cardinals to cover, but it wouldn't surprise me if they play this close, divisional rivals here. But the San Francisco 49ers are on fire. They're the only team right now in the NFL that has clinched a playoff spot already. 48.5 might be a little bit too high for my liking. I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers to cover.
I'll take the 49ers to win. I'll take the 49ers to cover, and I will take the over 48.5. Up next, my Washington Commanders. They are 4-9. They are still mathematically alive. They are headed to LA to face the Rams, who are 6-7. The Rams are 6.5-point favorites. Look at that. We haven't seen a 50-point over-under all day long. We got 50.5 points here at this one. I'm going to take the Rams to win. I'm going to take the Rams to cover, and I'm going to take the over 51. I think we hit the 51 points. I got 31-20 Los Angeles Rams in this game.
I like it all, except I think it'll be a little bit lower scoring here. Give me the under 50.5. I do think the Rams will cover the 6.5. If Washington gets out to an early lead, man, that's been the thing that's kept y'all in the games that y'all have won, is getting that early lead. And if y'all can do that, this game could be closer than I imagine. But right now, give me the Rams cover that 6.5, taking the under.
I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I hope I'm wrong, but it doesn't look good right now. Up next, big matchup, ladies and gentlemen. The Dallas Cowboys are headed up to Buffalo. Cowboys are 10-3. Bills are 7-6. The Bills are a 2-point favorite at home. Over under 49.5. Kickoff is at 4:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This game was one of the toughest games for me to pick this week. I really wanted to pick Dallas, but on the road, I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills to win this game. I'm going to take Dallas to cover, even at -2. I think this is a 1-point game. What did I have this game? I had this game 31-30 Buffalo, so I'll take the over as well.
Yeah, I'm going Dallas Cowboys, playing, the hottest football in the NFL right now. We talked about the streak of consecutive games, multiple passing touchdowns for Dak Prescott. CeeDee Lamb been balling out. Think they got to rely on the run a little bit more in this one. 49.5. It might get there. I'm going to say we just get under the 49.5. 2 really good teams going up against each other. I think it'll be close, maybe in the mid-20s, I'll say, ish type of game. Definitely glad that this game is at 4 o'clock with only one other game, or is this the only game?
No, there's this game, there's the San Francisco game, and the Washington game are your 4 o'clock games.
Let me tell you why I love those type of matchups, because when you watch Red Zone, you really don't got to focus on all 3 of those games. Red Zone going to cover it when they're not in the red zone. So it's an amazing way to watch ball. So definitely check out my man Scott Hansen one time on Red Zone today, but I'm taking the Dallas Cowboys.
Up next is the Sunday night matchup. Another great game. We're going to start getting some good games here Sunday night, Monday night with the flexes. Baltimore Ravens 10-3. They're 3.5-point favorites. They are headed to Duval to face the Jaguars, who are 8-5. Over under in this game is 42.5. Kickoff is at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Authentic, tell me what you got.
I got to go with the Ravens. You know, in the 3 losses, they have been inconsistent. They had that loss to the Colts. You know, things got a little sketchy for them there, but I definitely got to go Ravens. Trevor Lawrence coming into this game, high ankle sprain, 42.5. I'll take the over on that. Give me the Baltimore Ravens to cover the 3.5.
I'm going to take the Ravens to win, Jaguars to cover. I think this is a 3-point victory for the Baltimore Ravens, and I'm going to take the over 42.5. And the last game, Week 15, Monday Night Football. Philadelphia Eagles, they are 10-3. They are 3-point favorites. They are headed to Seattle to face the Seahawks, who are 6-7. Over-under is 47.5. Kickoff is at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday night. I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles, 34-44. I'm going to take the under, and I will take them to cover the 3.
I thought you said 34-44.
No, I was mathing in my head because I
was like, dang, dog, you got this being the biggest boat race in this Titanic versus
27-17 was the score I had for
27-17. I like that. I'm going to take the under in this one as well. I don't think this one's going to be that close. I think Philadelphia will cover the 3. This is a good type of game to kind of get right for that offense, especially if Jalen Hurts is in the lineup. But keep your eyes on that. But give me the Eagles in this one.
Big shout out to everybody in the chat who is dropping their picks, their overs, their unders, their winners. I love it. You guys are always so awesome during that rapid fire segment. We'll get to a couple of questions really fast before we get you guys out of here. I did see some, longtime viewers, longtime callers. Marcos with the half-point PPR, Zeke, Pollard, or Mostert. I think I'm going to go Mostert, right?
Yeah, I would go between Mostert or Tony Pollard in this matchup. The Jets are vulnerable against the run, and Mostert leads the NFL in rushing touchdowns right now. So give me Mostert. Curious to see what you got in your flex position as well, because I might want to play Pollard and Mostert today, to be honest.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. If it would have been full point PPR, I might have taken Pollard with the reception possibilities, because I know Mostert still catches the ball at the backfield, but I feel like Pollard probably catches the ball a little bit more of a higher volume than Mostert does. Roman's got a good question right here. Taysom Hill or Darren Waller?
I go Taysom Hill. I think Darren Waller, they did say he was going to be on a pitch count. We haven't really seen the chemistry, with Tommy DeVito and whatnot. So I think you go Taysom Hill in this matchup. When they get in the red zone, they're absolutely going to be trying to get Taysom Hill the ball. That dude is tough, man. He runs literally like a running back, bro. The way he lowers his shoulder and be running people over.
Yeah, and he's always has the triple threat possibility. He could get you a throwing touchdown, passing touchdown, receiving touchdown. Well,
I wonder, does he have any passing touchdowns this year?
He's got to have at least one, right?
Let me look into that while we move on to the next one. I wonder, because I haven't seen him at the quarterback position much this year.
Oh, Marco says he has Puka in his flex.
Puka in the flex, yeah, that's tough. So you gotta pick one of those running backs.
Achane or Breece Hall in the standard non-PPR. I'm going Achane.
Achane or Breece. Oof, damn, that's tough.
And they're playing against each other too.
Yeah, I think I go Breece. Bro.
And then one more. Gray Ren. Hey, y'all. Non-PPR. Diggs or Aaron Jones in the flex? Oh, Diggs. I know it's not PPR, but Aaron Jones is banged up. I think they're going to be passing the ball a lot in that game. I don't think you can play Aaron Jones for Diggs no matter the format.
Yeah.
And one last question. How many yards Barkley rushing for today?
Rushing. I'm going to go 87 yards on the ground for Saquon Barkley. Definitely over 100 scrimmage.
I'm going to go 103 on the ground.
Oh, I would love to see that.
Last question. DeVito or Mahomes? Mahomes.
Yeah, got to go Mahomes. A lot of opportunity going up against the the Patriots today. I think he's going to get a lot of opportunity there and probably put up most of his numbers in the first 2 to 3 quarters.
So does Taysom Hill have a passing touchdown?
I think he does. The way the stats are listed, he has one.
Irish
came
Rover
against the Bears, I believe.
120 on the ground. Hey, big shout out everybody. That was a crazy one. You guys were here. I know fantasy playoffs got everybody excited. Giants in the playoff hunt got everybody excited. Cowboys and Eagles got big games, and then obviously the Commanders are there. So it's it's a fun-packed one, and you guys were killing it in the chat today. We had people coming in and out from Twitter all day. We had questions from all the different platforms. We got to a lot of questions today. 31 questions today, at least somewhere around there. 31 for sure. A little bit more probably, but yeah, a lot of questions today. We appreciate all the love and all the support. Shout out to you guys in the chat.
Yeah, man. Y'all got about a good 30 minutes to get your lineup set up, man. Hey, J-Mo, I see you in the building, man. I hope you get well, bro. You said you was in the hospital for 10 days, man. We definitely wishing for your health, brother. Hope all is well. And we appreciate you pulling up and rocking out with us, man. Dedicated to the Authentic and the Beard vibe. So big salute to you, bro. Shout out to everybody else in the chat that pulled up. This whole integration with Twitter is really awesome here, man. So we're starting to see when y'all not only give comments, but when y'all pop in, that's real dope, man. So shout out to all the Giants fans across the Twitter sphere, man, that's been popping in here and rocking out with us, man. Best of luck today. We know it's playoffs. Get y'all W's, man. I hope y'all get to y'all paper, get to y'all bag so you can put the bag inside a bigger bag and go get yourself a championship. Y'all know how we end every show over here at Authentic and the Beard, man. Keep raising that bar. Keep living those dreams because the universe flows in Technicolor and surround sound. Rest in peace to the podcast GOAT Combat Jack. And last but not least, I went and did a gig with Fred Yone yesterday, man. That movie is nominated for an Academy Award. That is just... Tommy DeVito. Let me see some of those today, man. Big shout out to the Giants. Y'all be good. Enjoy y'all Sunday. Peace.
Don't forget, Bleacher Report Authentic too after the game.
Spike don't care.